What's up, guys? I'm back with another movie review. Today, we're going to be reviewing, discussing, talking about the film Alien Covenant. All right, let's get this out of the way. I have not seen an alien movie that I like, ever. Just I haven't. I know, and movie snob scenes around the world, that's a cardinal sin. Everybody pretty much puts their right hand to God that Alien, the original one, is one of the best movies ever made. Just a masterpiece of horror and suspense. I'm going to put it bluntly, that movie is boring as hell. I don't know anybody in their right mind who would honestly invite people to come to their house and watch the first Alien. That movie is so damn boring. But anyway, this review is not about that movie. So we're gonna talk about Alien Covenant. And I'm gonna also preface this again with I have seen Prometheus, which is kind of an alien movie, and it's the only alien movie, if you want to call it that, that I've actually liked. I did kind of like Prometheus. I thought it was very interesting with all the lore building and background of the giant people and everything. It was pretty cool. I mean, the setting was cool and everything. The aesthetic of it was very cool and well done with the special effects. CGI actually looked really good in this movie, and I'm not a huge fan of CGI, so Prometheus I actually liked. Now, the problem begins when you start watching Alien Covenant and you go to the bathroom and you come back and you don't know if you're watching Alien Covenant or Prometheus. But I'm gonna get back to that later. So let's go ahead and start. Okay, so as I was just stating, this film feels like it pretty much uses the exact same set as Prometheus. I mean, which makes sense. They're going to the same place. You find out later in the film as Prometheus. So I mean, it wasn't the intent for them to go there, but they end up at the same place that Prometheus took place on. So it's just reusing the same assets, basically, adding different characters, different people, different scenarios. And it doesn't help that you have some people who were in the first movie that are in Prometheus that are in this as well. Like Michael Fassbender, who is an amazing actor. I mean, in everything he's in, the man acts his ass off. I mean, Michael Fassbender is not a problem with this movie in himself or his acting. There is his acting is, they say chef's kiss. Yeah, it was. That's what his acting is in this movie. It always is. It's Fassbender, man. But I mean, he's just playing the same character from Prometheus, essentially. I mean, there's two versions of him, and he plays a slightly more advanced one. The ship that they arrive on in Alien Covenant is carrying the slightly more advanced android Fassbender than the one that got left behind from Prometheus. I mean, but there's only slight differences. I mean, they act the same pretty much, except for subtle differences. And so, I mean, it's just an acting clinic being put on by Michael Fassbender, but I just really don't care. I mean, because the scenes he's in are boring. I mean, it's called Alien Covenant, man. And the majority of this movie is Fassbender having android like thoughts about being a real person, and the new android being corrupted by the old android. The old android's trying to teach the new android, and the old android's trying to teach the new android that you can create things and he can be a creator and that humans are an inferior race. And it's just like, okay, man, where the damn aliens at? So there is action in this movie. I will admit that, though. There are aliens in this movie and they do come and attack. But I mean, it just seems like, I don't know, it seems like it's kind of squished into the middle of the film. I mean, into the middle and to the end of the film. Like most of the film, like I said, is a bunch of android talk, and then like kind of in the middle, there's some alien attacks, and then go back to android talks, and then at the end, there's a little bit of alien attacks. I mean, I don't know if you can't tell already. This film did not leave an impression on me. Besides, am I watching Prometheus again or not? I'm trying to find some more points to say about this film because I feel like this film was just above boring, and I feel like it harmed itself by coming back to the same exact sets and world of Prometheus because it's just so gray, man. It's just so gray and nothing and so boring. I mean, it just lends itself to boredom when you've watched Prometheus, which was a long film of grayness, but it was interesting because this is the first time you've seen this, and then you come back and then you're just in another long film of grayness, and then there's just slightly more action. I mean, I feel like this is Prometheus with a little bit more action. I mean, if you're asking my honest opinion, yeah. So, in my outright honest opinion, I feel like this film. I wish this film focused more on aliens and a character that about to talk about now called Daniels. And so, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, man. So many people these days make so much hoopla, whether it's in the positive direction or in a negative direction, about films trying to insert a strong female lead into movies, whether just shoehorning her in there or whether they try to like build her up. Some people will say, well, we wouldn't complain if you would build her up to actually being a strong character, which I mean does make sense. Some people say, shut up, we should just be able to put her in there and you should like her. I mean, sometimes that might work. I mean, I don't know. But I'm going to talk about Daniels because I feel like she's a very good example of a strong female lead in a movie, and unfortunately, she wasn't on screen a whole lot. I mean, just she had a lot of action scenes, but as far as a character, she wasn't on screen a lot. We were focused on androids teaching each other how to color and play the flute. Okay, so a little bit about Daniels. I mean, on their way to this planet that they weren't intentionally coming to, they get woken up out of their hyperbolic chambers or whatever, and her husband, who is apparently the captain of the ship, is stuck in his chamber. He ends up becoming deceased, not coming out of the chamber. So right off the bat, Daniels has to deal with a major emotional loss. I mean, major emotional loss. I mean, losing your spouse. I don't know exactly if he was her husband or not. He might have been just her boyfriend or fiance. But either way, I mean, that's a major loss. And she takes it. I mean, pretty well. I mean, pretty toughly. Like she doesn't just let it roll off her shoulder. Like she doesn't give a crap about her spouse or her partner. She does take some time. She like takes some time to herself. She still completes her job and everything, but she doesn't. I'm gonna put it like this: she doesn't spend the entire movie pouting about it, but she also doesn't act like she's Superwoman right off the bat and just nothing phases her and she's just gonna go on with the mission. So I like that. I like that she was able to still do her job, but she showed obvious signs of grief and sadness for a good portion at the beginning of the movie. Another thing that I like about Daniels is that she is strong and she's second in command. And there were times where she questioned the acting captain's orders, and she was strong enough in her character to challenge him and say, "You're making a mistake. I don't think that this is right, and I'm going to make a note of you making this rash decision or whatever it may be." But then when the guy would be like, "Okay, I understand your objection. You're dismissed or whatever," she would still respect the chain of command. So I just like that she is under control of her emotions. Like she can say, okay, this is where I need to stand up to my superior and tell him that he's wrong. But at the end of the day, I still respect chain of command. I'm not going to call my superior a dumbass or say he doesn't know what he's doing and just I'm taking over the ship by force or anything like that. She was a respectable character, but still knew how to stand up for herself and her beliefs. Also, when it comes to the action in a movie, when you have a female lead in a movie that does have action in it, it does kind of get tricky if you don't really rely on reality and you rely on just fantasy. Like this is the thing that many people complain about is when you have like 110-pound women just beating the ever living crap out of dudes who look like Batista. It doesn't make sense. But what they did with Daniels is that she did get into a confrontation with the bad android, and pretty much she was tossed around like a rag doll. She reacted way too slow. He's basically a computer, so anyone, male or female, is not going to be anywhere near fast enough for this man. And they showed that he just pretty much just wiped the floor with her, and she was saved by the good android. But in the beginning of the film, when she's exploring the hangar on the ship, she's just paying attention to the way everything is set up and everything, and that comes into play later. Her knowledge of her surroundings and being aware when she's fighting the xenomorph, and when she takes down the xenomorph twice, and both times she does it, she exhibits extreme bravery and tactical awareness. She doesn't do anything stupid like punch a xenomorph in the face or kick it or some crazy crap and it just goes flying. She just uses her wits and uses the knowledge of her surroundings and outsmarts it. Both times they're satisfying wins for her when she gets it. It's one time where she crushes it in like a crane type deal, and it's pretty satisfying when she does that. She outsmarts it there, and then at the end of the movie, when she finally traps it inside of some sort of industrial vehicle, she traps it in, and pretty much gives what I feel like is the best line in the movie when she says, "I got you, you son of a bitch." It's just delivered so perfectly, and I feel like the reason why I feel like this line is delivered perfectly is because her character, like I said, has been so under control the entire movie, so under control. Everybody's dying around her. She shows remorse and, well, empathy, not remorse. She shows empathy, but she's always got a level head. But it's measured, man. Like, she keeps a level head, but she doesn't take that level head and then turn it to "I am now Wonder Woman" and just goes a Rambo on everything in sight. No, she takes that level head. She escapes smartly, learns how to like use tactical awareness and things around her to win, and she just keeps all of her adrenaline bottled up the entire movie, and she's just focused because you feel like she's still dealing with that grief. She doesn't want to be on this planet to begin with, and that was the decision that she thought was a bad idea to come to this planet in the first place. So she doesn't want to be here. She's also dealing with grief, and you can just feel that weight on this character the entire time. So she probably isn't even acting to her full potential because she's like sidetracked. I think the actress does an amazing job portraying that. And when she finally delivers that line, "I got you, you son of a bitch," you can just see like an expression of a release of emotion and adrenaline finally when she is at the climax of the movie. And then when they finally push the alien out into space, again, she smiles and she laughs, and she just is expressing relief finally that the scenario is over. And I just feel like this was the best. I mean, she was the best part of this movie. Besides, besides some of the alien action scenes, which I mean, she was a part of a lot of them. I mean, I feel like her character and character development through the movie and final expression of relief from the entire situation and the scenario at the end of the movie was really satisfying to see. Other than that, I felt like this movie was, like I said, barely above average, very boring, very gray. Actually, no, I said barely above boring. It was not above average. This is a very average movie. Um, yeah, just gray and boring. And like I said, if you walk out of the room and come back in 10 minutes later, 20 minutes later, you might think that you're watching Prometheus. It's just, they're almost identical, man. And I just don't understand I mean, I would say I don't understand the thought process of releasing a film that's basically identical to the first one. But again, the Alien franchise has loyal supporters, so they probably think we can do this world building, lore building, just okay, we are going back to Prometheus, and people will let it pass because they know what we're trying to do here and what we're trying to accomplish. But yes, people who don't really find alien movies interesting at all are not going to like this movie because, again, it just looks like, especially if you saw Prometheus, it just looks like the same movie, and it's very dull and boring. Finally, I just want to give the actress a shout out. I did have her name written down, but I didn't say it earlier because I looked over it earlier. Her name is Katherine Waterston. Yeah, Katherine Waterston. Amazing job playing Daniels. Fassbender, obviously, always spectacular job. It just didn't resonate with his character. I mean, it's just boring. Didn't really like having to focus the movie on his character. His character is not very interesting to me. But yeah, Daniels, great character. Movie, I would say skip. I mean, unless you're really into the Alien franchise, then you should watch it for some lore and some world building. But until next time, guys, I'll see you around.